Hello, everybody, live on Facebook, YouTube, and our podcast. I'm Josh Oakes, and I'm so thankful that you're here today listening on how to keep your kids safe and smart on the internet. I'm the author of 6 books that teach your kid how to shine online. The 2 of the most important ones being Light, Bright, and Polite for parents and Light, Bright, and Polite for professionals. And Hidden Secret, teens love this professional book because it talks to them in a way that shows them that they are adults and that there are consequences, and we'll talk to you more about that at the end. All right, I'm excited here today to have 2 experts. They are from different parts of the country. Unfortunately, parts of the country that either have seen a lot of rain or will see a lot of rain here soon. So first, we're going to start with Jolyn Brand. She is a college consultant. She helps kids apply and get into colleges. She works with parents and students, and she's coming to us live from Houston, Texas today. Jolyn, I want to welcome you to the podcast first. And number 2 is I want you to teach us a tip that you teach parents and students about how they should look at themselves online in ways that other people see it. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. One of the best tips I give is I tell kids right before they're applying to colleges, during this week, we try to do over the summer before senior year, I'm going to Google you. So I might look at exactly what colleges might look at if they Google you. So you have the opportunity to log out, Google yourself, check what other people can see that aren't your friends, and scroll down and check those videos. Maybe they, were funny and pranks and it was all joking, but from an outsider's view, that might not look so nice. And you can obviously delete those now before you apply to colleges and make your online presence a little more professional and nice to others.
That's a great tip. I like how and one of the tips is, and parents, bring your kids in the room. If you're watching the replay of this, and there's nothing that we talk about here at smartsocial.com that your kids shouldn't be watching, because we're talking about their future. So, Jolyn, I like how you're saying, essentially, we're talking about their future, and that's one of the great things. We're going to jump over to Dr. Mike Bishop, who is founder of Summerland Camps, the world's first summer camp for teen technology addiction. And today he comes to us live from Tampa, Florida. Dr. Bishop, welcome to the video. And I want you, first and foremost, to teach people how to establish rules, set up a system, and dialogue. Even though we're talking about Snapchat, I like your approach. What are some tips that you tell parents to talk to about their kids with Snapchat?
Oh, gosh. Well, thanks, Josh, for having me, first of all. I think parents really need to take a 2-pronged approach where we need to set up a proper structure where we can go back and, check on posts, sit down with your child and help them understand, okay, how is this post going to come across to people? Have them really question, if you saw a friend post this, how would that make you feel? To set up this on a regular basis. There really is a wealth of information when your child posts something online. You can kind of get into, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are their insecurities? What are their anxieties by looking at the posts that they make. And that's a perfect opportunity to segue into a conversation with your kid about what's going on with them.
So talk to us about that. Let's dive on. Jolyn, we're going to come back over to you in a sec. You're basically going into the setting goals or restrictions, and then what was going through your mind when you did that in a positive way, right? We're not saying, what were you thinking, but rather,
right.
Hey, so you posted this, that's cool. Can you talk to me about the outcome you were hoping for? I love that. How do you dialogue? How do you suggest to parents to dialogue with their students about that? Talk to me about that. Like, what is the best practice there, that dialogue with parents in a way that's welcoming?
Yeah, I think you can do this with your own child, but you can also do it with your own Facebook page. If you've got some old friends from high school that, are known for being a little dramatic, erratic, and they are posting things on a regular basis about drama in their life. And you can use an external example. Say, I've got this one friend from high school, I don't really keep in touch with them, but they're always posting about, their relationships or their problems with their boss. And, what do you think message they're trying to send here when they post this? And, you can talk about examples external to the child.
That's a really great tip. I like where you're going with that. It's really what you've said, essentially, for me to be your cheerleader is you've said basically turn it into ourselves. Look at ourselves first to set a great example. One of our guests from last week, she said, Great role models are great rule models. So when you set a rule in the family, you behave based on that rule. I love that. All right, Jolyn, we're going back over to you live in Houston, Texas. Jolyn, talk to us about my favorite new tip, the misconceptions. I heard this at an event, and I think that that's the case because I haven't heard otherwise. You know, we are working right now in an industry that there are no rules, but we all are seeing kids get kicked out of Harvard because of some bad Facebook groups they're in. And we've all heard about somebody getting fired or getting Googled and no one told them these are bad Google results. What's a misconception, Jolyn, that you hear all the time and teach us the right answer?
Right. We hear lots of misconceptions in college admissions. Everyone's always their favorite expert of this mom told me at the football game that we should be doing this. Pertaining to social media, my least favorite, I guess, is that they think their kids are safe because they are only connected online with other kids from their school. And that was maybe the rule, maybe that's what they said, so that's what the kids are doing, and they think therefore that there's no reason to monitor it, that they're fine. And fortunately, sometimes we pull that up and the kid's, friends with Joe. And when I ask, what class do you have with Joe? They're like, oh, well, I don't know him, but he's friends with all of my friends. So he probably goes to my school. And God knows who Joe might be, right? So the kids sometimes just friend someone because they have a lot of mutual friends and they're not really sure whether or not that kid is an actual kid or in their area, or just checking and seeing, what they might be posting, what they might be able to get information-wise from them.
That's really wise. And it's so great. Basically, the knowledge that we as humans have is here, and kids, the knowledge they have is about right here. And we're trying to say, think bigger. Let's dialogue through what your thought process is here. I love that. Okay, Dr. Bishop, I want to go back over to misconceptions with you. You've got a cool one. What's a misconception and what's the truth behind it?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. So I think one of the major misconceptions that I found speaking with parents that are interested in the Summerlin Camp program is that, they went into this with a really kind of authoritarian, viewpoint. They set up some really rigid structures and put all these limits on for their kids on technology. And as anyone that's got kids today knows, kids can figure out a way to get around this stuff. So really what parents are best served doing is focus on building intrinsic motivation to post appropriately, to limit your electronics use, just, to use electronics appropriately. And so that's going to come through a process of, questioning your child, giving them, some what if questions. Okay, what if someone saw this post that, might have taken this the wrong way, or a stranger saw this and you're, posting these pictures that, make you appear in this certain way. And that also, can go into the amount of time they're spending online. Research is showing us that, the latest from Pew Research showed us 92% of teens are going online daily. 24% report almost constantly they're online. So we talk to them about, okay, well, what are your long-term goals? How does this fit in with you spending, 6 hours a day on Facebook? Are these two goals mutually congruent?
Yeah, that's very wise. We're all on our devices way more, right? I love what you're saying there about their motivation, their intrinsic motivation. And those of all of you parents that are watching right now, here's how that really breaks down to the rubber meets the road. Take your kids, consider this, as early as elementary school and middle school, start talking to your kids about their dream college. Where do you want to go to school? You don't know. What do you want your dream career to be? You want to be an astronaut, a firefighter, an engineer? It doesn't matter. You like how those things are built? You like archaeology? Whatever. Talk to them about their future. And then you're hitting on Dr. Bishop's tip of intrinsic motivation. And then, boy, does this Snapchat thing make sense. And in the beginning, principals thought we were crazy. Talking to kids about 10 years from now, but the way they behave on devices then all of a sudden has a purpose instead of a pastime. Huge there. Rather than just giving them these devices and going, have fun and we'll call you and you better pick up. Now you've go, okay, great. I can have a lot of fun and be a teenager on social media, on Snapchat, but I better keep it positive and full of gratitude, as we talk a lot about in my book, Light, Bright, and Polite. And that's because that's what colleges want. They're okay with you being silly and yourself, but they definitely want to see somebody that's a leader that's going to bring others together. All right, so I want to get to both of you just one more time. And if you have an example or if you have one more tip on your topic, I want to hear what that is here real quick. Jolyn, we're going to come back to you one more time. What's another tip that you give parents all the time or students on how to shine online or in that application?
Sure. I love your tip about intrinsic motivations. I send even younger students to college visits, and parents think it's a little crazy early, but starting to picture themselves on campus is a huge goal-setting tip. So a lot of times when kids start planning that and they're starting to Google themselves, they'll go through videos and photos and even your names online, the silly names and sometimes the slang. It will show up when people Google, their email address or their full name. So they should just double check those things. Is that what you're wanting to present to colleges? Is that what everyone wants to know about you? Or maybe you presenting a little differently than you really are.
I love that. Yeah. Going back to the specific of looking at yourself online rather than telling them what not to do, setting a goal with them. All right, Dr. Bishop, I'm giving you last word, the last call. What is one of your tips that you give to parents all the time about I love this intrinsic motivation. You've said it in a different way than I have, and I think that it really gets to the root of it.
Oh, thank you.
What's another tip?
Yeah, I would say if you want to change your child, start with changing yourself. If you don't want your child to text while they're driving, stop texting while you're driving. If you don't want your child to be on electronics during family conversations, stop bringing your phone to dinner. It has to start. It has to start with you.
That's really great.
The last thing I think I would say is, if kind of going back on my last point is, if your child relies on you as a parent to turn off their device at the end of the day or the end of the weekend, going to college, your kid's in trouble.
Right.
You've got to change that. If the only way that your kid turns their device off is you telling them, they're going to have a disastrous freshman year.
Wow, that is really. But what's your tip to parents then to overcome that?
Enroll them in Summerland camps, or find a therapist, a cognitive behavioral therapist you can work with to start addressing those inner, psychological issues. If there's a true dependency there, certainly your books and materials have a lot of good information in them as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I think we all have a little bit of a screen time addiction. No matter how normal you are as an adult or as a student, it's like coffee. I'll tell you what, you depend on it in the morning. The first thing I do when I wake up, and I'm the first person to admit it, is I check this thing. Actually, this is a dummy extra phone. I've got my real one here, right? I mean, I have two phones. And so unfortunately, the first step is admitting that I have an email inbox addiction. Right. And running a small business, protecting kids online, I'm not proud of that, but it does serve a good purpose. But boy, I can see how growing up these days, it's very easy to get that. All of you that are watching right now, I want to thank our awesome experts, but we have something that's absolutely revolutionary here. There's a couple resources you have to do. One, you've got to take our online free webinar, the 27 worst apps your students should never be on. And it talks about how they're anonymous, they're full of cyberbullying. No, Snapchat isn't in there. Snapchat's in our gray zone. So we have the green zone, the gray zone, and the red zone. I want to show you the red zone. It empowers you a lot to know what your kids should absolutely avoid. And then you can hang out in the gray zone and the green zone. The second thing I really want to talk to you about is it's time to not be that parent that's always telling your kids what not to do, but rather, as Dr. Bishop was saying, the intrinsic value, the intrinsic motivation behind going to their dream school, their dream career, and we keep it practical that way because students love talking about that. We developed a technique called Parent University. It's a program where you watch videos with your kids. We teach you in the first video how to get kicked out of Harvard. We show your student how important it is to go to a dream career, figure that out. Harvard's a good school. I didn't go to Harvard, and I don't think it's the only option. I think there's a dream school for everybody. But we show them, hey, look, these 1,000 kids got in, and 10 of them got kicked out, and here's how. And we become the bad person, and you parents, you sit next to them and go, well, I don't know if I would post that next time because Josh said no. We have videos on, should I share my password with my best friend? How to get kicked out of Harvard, how colleges will really search for you online, and all these other videos that you watch with your kids. Because it's time for you to start a dialogue and no longer outsource your parenting to some app. It's no longer time for you to go, don't do that. Because as soon as you say, don't touch that hot stove, your children want to touch the hot stove. But if you were to say, hey, this is a really sharp knife and Josh is going to teach us how to cook dinner with it, yes, it can hurt you, but boy, is it important to make spaghetti using this to chop all the ingredients and so on. All of a sudden, now the kids have a bigger picture. It's called Parent University. You can click the links below. We're pumped. It's $9 a month, and you can try it this month for $1. I'm so thankful to our experts that are online right now. Thank you to both of you for coming at us today, taking the time out. The rest of you, I'll see you here very soon on the next episode. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Josh.